Γεια σας.
Hola.
Vítejte. SYNAPSES Academy.
Welcome to the SYNAPSES Academy podcast, a podcast in which experts from various fields provide their tips on sustainability citizenship in education. Listening to this podcast as a teacher or school head, you'll know what to teach or what is taught in your school. But do you always know where learning takes place? Or who you learn from? How learning takes place and what the culture of sustainability in the school is? These are key questions in working towards a whole school approach. Today with us we have Dr. Sofoklis Sotiriou, who is the director of the research department of the Greek private school Germaniki Agogi, or EA in short. In the past few years, he has seen the rising need for the implementation of a whole school approach, which he implemented successfully in his school. So let's talk about that. Sofoklis, welcome.
Very nice to be with you, and thank you so much for offering me the opportunity to share my ideas. I would like to say that the implementation of the whole school approach is serving a number of major, I would say, innovations in the current educational settings. More specifically speaking, for teaching for sustainability citizenship, which is our key issue here, sustainability citizenship is a very complex competence and includes numerous partial abilities, numerous tasks and skills for the young students. And to achieve that, an integrated approach is. This cannot be achieved in single 45-minute sessions as the current traditional setting of schooling is presenting. We have to bring the different parts together. We have to integrate the different components of the curriculum, but it's not only that. The different, I would say, the school infrastructure has to support this idea. The school organization has to support this idea. We have to establish effective links with external stakeholders. So it needs a huge organizational effort from the whole school team, the school heads, the teaching staff, the support staff, and of course the stakeholders that are around the school, the parents, local experts, and so on, to implement an integrated framework that offers the students the opportunity to learn in a continuum. So there are no in-between interruptions, I would say, in the learning process. There is a continuous path that is helping students to develop better educational outcomes. So this is the core idea of the whole school approach. And the whole school approach in the specific case means that we have to create an effective educational environment, interconnected. I would say we are usually calling it like a learning ecology. So the different components are interacting, they're working together, and at the end we have the best results for our students. I hope I have tried to explain it in a bit practical way, because I would say especially this kind of effort when we are trying to train teachers, it is nice to present theoretical frameworks and big titles, but at the end of the day, when we are coming to the real practical work in the class, we need very specific real life.
Yes, absolutely.
This is
that's what we learn
what
from.
we need.
Yeah, and so within Synapses, of course, we're only just started and collecting. But could you maybe give an example of a successful implementation of the whole school approach?
Yeah, I can say we use an example from our school. And speaking, for example, of course, is a case that I believe that we can reproduce also to other schools. It's starting from the school canteen. The school canteen is, I would say, a core node in the school life. It's a place that the students are visiting very often. Teachers are visiting it. It's operating all the time. At the same time, from the energy consumption point of view, is really a hot spot, as it is operating all day long. So it's a unique point to start the experimentation. So in the framework, let's say, of the operation of the school canteen, we call it the Green Canteen Program. We have designed numerous activities, let's say, to monitor the energy consumption of the building itself, to calculate the ecological footprint of the food that is served, the connection with the school garden where the students are producing vegetables and so on all year long, and they can feed, let's say, the process in the food cycle in the green canteen. And finally, the waste management, the food waste management, which is a very important issue. So we are trying to simulate the sustainable food system process in the school canteen.
And how do you involve everyone in that? So
the involvement starts from the very young one, early primary school, where they can, let's say, see what are the components of the food they are eating, to make, let's say, different calculations to see if where the different materials have been produced, looking for the ecological footprint. So in this process, and this is an example really of the whole school approach, every year we are building a bit further and we are advancing a bit further the program for the students. Yeah. So while the idea is the same, while everything is moving about the food systems and the green canteen, things are becoming more complex. Different skills are needed, mathematical skills, presentation of graphs, analysis of data, and so on. And all this enriching the students' program and the school curriculum. Yeah. So this is an example that I think that can be implemented in different schools. Almost all schools have a canteen. It's a nice place that is also connecting and demonstrating how we can bring really the benefits from informal education into a formal learning setting. So we have an informal learning lab inside the school.
Inside the school. And then you're describing a very nice path for the children. So year on year, they build on from the previous year. So how does this empower teachers? Does it empower teachers, the whole school as well?
Yeah, let me say the environmental education in principle is, I would say, a task, a responsibility for a specific group of teachers in the traditional approach. Right. In the whole school approach is a responsibility for everyone. So our results, because of course all these activities have to be assessed systematically, because usually in assessments we are measuring what is easy to measure and we forget what is difficult to do. And assessing, for example, the sustainability citizenship is a quite demanding task. So teachers have to see the outcome of all this work, because reorganizing the curriculum, making, let's say, the necessary links, the interconnections between the lessons is a new thing for them. We are introducing a new culture here. So it's a very demanding process for both school heads and school teachers. So the result and the award is coming from the great data that we are getting from the students as far as their change, their behavioral change. So I believe that the great results that we are getting is a major reward for teachers' work. Yeah. And at the same time, they are meeting the challenge of teaching in a more integrated way, combining different fields. And this is always a very, very rewarding experience.
Yeah. So not only do they see good results, but you also have the sort of community support. You're all working towards the same goal?
Yeah, I have to say that our approach is never to say to teachers how to teach, or never to say to school heads how to coordinate and manage their organization. They are experts on that. They are professionals on that. Our aim is only to, let's say, present some innovative aspects that could enrich their work.
Right.
And to offer them a number of opportunities to collaborate with colleagues, to exchange expertise and practices. And it's then when the key characteristics, I would say, and the benefits of this professional development activity appear.
So I was going to ask, this all sounds very nice, but if you make it practical, where do you start implementing? Would this be the first step?
In principle, we are working in this field for many years. Let's say my department is exactly doing this work in our school. This is the way how we are working. I mean, we are testing these innovative ideas in our school setting. We see the difficulties, we highlight the success stories, we learning from our mistakes, because there are always numerous mistakes and problems, and we have to redesign. And then when we are ready, we are organizing this kind of courses and this kind of activities. And of course, with the support of our partners who have expertise in their fields, we are creating a strong training community where we are ready to share all these practices with European teachers.
Yeah. And of course, we're trying to get as many people to the training as possible. But if you say I'm a school head or I'm a teacher and my school has no whole school approach whatsoever, where would you start?
I would say the process is to work together, the school head with the teachers, to identify the key needs of the organization. Maybe it's going to be a long list. It has to be done step by step. So they have to select the key needs, the most important needs. And they have to make a plan on how they can work in the different frameworks, through professional development, through some investment in the school infrastructure, some attending, let's say, some national or international events and so on, in order to start to initiate the process. They have to test, experiment. Of course, they will fail sometimes, but at the end of the day, they will manage to develop their school environment further. So they have to have a pool of materials, of approaches, and select the ones that are more appropriate for their needs. And step by step, they will see the progress. Yeah. We will be here
to help,
to support them by all means, the whole school, the teachers, the school heads, and we hope that we will manage to create a community of practitioners who will share their ideas and they will learn from each other. Because in the community, I'm sure that these schools, even the beginners, will find some other schools that were at the same stage, and they have developed and they are ready to share what they have learned. And I believe this is the most important aspect of our approach.
I think that's a great place to start indeed. Then I have one final question for you, Sofoklis. Would you be willing to share one piece of climate advice that listeners can implement, maybe even in their private life?
Yeah, I would say that what we have tried to do is to make sure that we are taking every single opportunity that there is in our school to transform it to a learning experience for the students. And this can be, let's say, related to existing projects, but this can be something like completely new projects. I would say we have installed recently a number of solar panels, and we have immediately introduce students and teachers in this process. So they are collecting data, they are making comparison, for example, where the efficiency of the panels is higher, when it is lower, according to the weather conditions. So my advice is to try to see which are the opportunities that you have in your setting, in your school, and try to combine it with an environmental issue. And this is very, very crucial, because this is transferring really the idea that climate is about our everyday life, and it's everything out there.
Right.
And in this way, I think the benefits would be much better in such a approach.
I think that's a very nice piece of advice. Thank you, Sofoklis.
Thank you. It was great.
You are listening to an episode of the SYNAPSES Academy podcast. For more information about Synapses or to learn more about our speakers, please look up the links in the show notes. This production was funded by the European Union and produced by the European Schoolheads Association. Views and opinions expressed are, however, those of the consortium only and do not necessarily reflect those of the European Union. Neither the European Union nor the granting authority can be held responsible for them.